Alrighty, here we are back again. I don't know where I left off. I'm pretty sure when I left off before, I thought that the power supply was bad. Got a brand new power supply, 500 watt. Plug that sucker in. Again, you got your 24 pin connector. You gotta remember to plug in your 8 pin connector up top. Did that. I was troubleshooting, it still didn't work. I didn't know what the heck was going on. Turned out, after all my troubleshooting, I took the entire thing back apart. The processor, which is underneath this fan, underneath the heatsink, the processor with like all of its tiny little pins had 2 pins that were bent. Ultimately, it was like 4 pins that were bent, but I had to unbend them and put them back in correctly, reinstall everything, and it fired right up. The only other problem that I had was I've got an HDMI output right here, HDMI right there, and a, what the heck is that, a PD, power display, right there, and an HDMI. The HDMI did not work. I don't know exactly why, but I looked it up online, and apparently a lot of people say that it doesn't work. I don't know why that does not work. So I grabbed my old video card, all that dust on there and everything, threw that sucker in here, and it fired right up. I've got it hooked up through HDMI right now. Well, how about the troubleshooting that I was doing? Troubleshooting, one of the things that I did, I pulled one of the RAM, and I left the one RAM in the main stick area, and that didn't work. I pulled the other RAM and put it in the other stick, and it still didn't work. I noticed that down here, this screw right here that I'm shining the light on, that you can't really see, but that screw was in, and the board was over top of it. So I had to take the whole board out, take that screw out, and put it all back together. I thought this power switch right here, which has these lights on it and everything, I thought the power switch was bad. That was not the case. It turned out just to be that processor. So, and the pins were bent. So I finally bent all those pins back the way they were supposed to be, put it all back together, and it fired right up. Oh, by the way, another troubleshooting thing that I heard was take out all the screws out of the motherboard, pull the whole motherboard in case it's grounding out onto the case, and fire it up in the air. They said on top of the case, but it seemed to be grounding out onto the case. But I fired it up while I was holding it, and it was doing the exact same thing. When I did that, after I fixed the pins, it fired right up. So I unplugged everything. I unplugged the SATA lines over here, which is the Blu-ray player and the solid state drive. I unplugged, what else did I unplug? I think that's it. But I unplugged the power out of the solid state and the Blu-ray player and just did it that way. It fired right up, so I went ahead and started plugging things in, and here we are. We're running. And it actually runs. You can see the fan running. It is super quiet. You can't even hear that this thing's running. The power supply right here, you can't hear that whatsoever. The main thing you can hear that actually runs is that Blu-ray player whenever I was installing the operating system. I put Linux Mint on here, 19.1, I believe. Is that what this disk says? Man, I've got an awesome memory. Yeah, 19, well, Linux Mint 19. And that's my operating system on a solid state drive. And it's been running great. I've been screwing around all night long, putting all the stuff that I need back onto it and everything. It's got all of these cool little LEDs that are on there. If I just take this away, you can see it just changes colors all the time, which is kind of cool. So does the RAM. They all kind of change color, but I guess that's the new way of doing things. That's how far out I am. And back here, I don't know if you can see that, but behind the USBs and stuff like that, they also change color. So that's kind of cool. But long story short, now I have a brand new computer now. I've got brand new power supply, motherboard, processor, RAM. I need a new video card because I want to do dual HDMI out. I've got a brand new hard drive, the solid state drive over there. I've got a used Blu-ray player over there, a DVD writer that I'm not even using right now. That's the lower disk drive. But besides that, every single thing is new except for the case and this power cord, which apparently that's fine, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, all right, I'm going to end this whole series right here. If you want to know more about how to go ahead and reinstall or install an operating system or something like that, let me know. I can make a video about that. I can do that in the future. I didn't even bother doing it earlier because I was just so amazed that it was actually working. Like I said, the HDMI output on my brand new motherboard, for some reason, if I can point to it, was not even working. So I'm not exactly sure why that is, but when I read a bunch of comments on this motherboard, which is like a 450F, H450F, I forget. It's an Asus ROG, Republic of Gamers, I believe it is. But I have a 450, and I saw all the comments on a 350, and they all said that the HDMI out did not work. So that's why I grabbed, and this is why it's great. I saw this in the comments too, by the way. It's not my my little insight, but that's why I saw other people saying that's why it's great to have extra computer parts laying around. I had this video card in my main computer. I pulled that out and put it into this computer. I cannot believe it worked because it's like a 10-year-old video card, and somehow it worked on this brand new motherboard. But and that's how I have my computer working. So that's it, man. I hope, I don't know, maybe you learned something along this whole process. It took me a little bit of time. I didn't need to buy a new power supply, but I did. I'm glad that I did because I could use the other power supply on a different computer now. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, so I learned something. Hopefully you guys learned something. I have a new computer working. It is super, super fast, and it is ridiculously quiet. I can't believe how quiet it is. Whenever, and my other computer that I usually do all of my live streams on, which I'm going to do it on this one now, that one is just as quiet as this one. So, and my normal computer is really, really loud. So, now I have two computers that are like super silent. So, now I'm really stoked about that. Here, let's go ahead and listen to it. Both of them are running, by the way. That's right. You don't hear anything. You can't hear the solid state drive whatsoever. You can't even hear the CPU fan, which obviously is running. The hard drive fan, or the power supply fan, is running. You can't hear that thing whatsoever at all. It's just amazing to me. But yeah, this was just one of my computer builds. I'm going to build another one somewhat soon. I don't know if I'm going to use that old hard drive, if I can, or if I'm going to have to buy a new hard drive or a motherboard and processor. If I do, I'm getting even better than this one. This is a 6-core, again. This is a 6-core, I believe 3.39 gig processor, 6-core, with 16 gig of RAM, two 8 gig sticks there. And if I have to go ahead and build another one, I'm going bigger than that. So I don't know. If I do that, you'll see that in an upcoming video. But that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out and checking out what I'm building and taking apart, troubleshooting, all that fun stuff that I had to do to get to this process. I'm glad that I actually got this working. I really thought that I was going to have to call up the company. I bought this, not sponsored, but I bought it from Newegg. I paid full price, by the way. But I bought all this stuff from Newegg, the motherboard, processor, RAM. The power supply actually came from Amazon. But I thought I was going to have to call up Newegg and say, dude, you said you sent me a processor that's got bent pins, and I can't use this dang thing. Fortunately, I got it to actually work. And it's working great. I have been using it all night, watched live streams, and have been actually tried to do a little bit of editing and stuff like that. A video I already did, just to see if I could actually do it, and it actually worked. So yeah, Thanks for hanging out with me, checking out all this stuff. If you want to see more of this stuff in the future, give me a thumbs up, and make sure you leave me a comment down below. Leave a comment down below anyways, just so everybody else can see that you were here and you were checking out what I'm doing. And yeah, check out the mystery Amazon link. Who the heck knows what that's going to be, because I have so many components. I can make that list really, really long. But maybe I'll just make it like a combo deal or something like that. A decent motherboard, processor, and RAM that you can buy. Check that out, and yeah, do all that fun, happy social media stuff down below, and I will catch y'all in the next video. So, till then, later.